Bonjour et bienvenue sur Speak French avec moi. Je suis Séverine, votre professeur de français. Hello and welcome to Speak French avec moi. I am Séverine and I am your French coach. Today, 10 questions with how in French. Sure, you know that how is comment in French, but would you know how to put questions together? Would you know how to say how come or how often? How was it? Or even how long? Well, you're going to find out every day in today's episode. Why I made this episode today? First, because as I said, we're inside a module dedicated to questions, and I want to spend time with you to talk about how to make questions in French, and because it's a recurring questions during my class. I am a certified French as a foreign language teacher. And of course, every day I work with students who struggles and have very interesting questions, and I want to share their questions and their struggle with you. As usual, head to the website speakfrenchavecmoi.com for the transcript and the practice. If you're just starting the podcast today, everything is free. You don't have to sign up for having, for listening and having the transcript. Also have a Facebook page. I know I'm not on Facebook 24/7, so sometimes, it says 2 or 3 days without any posts. On the Facebook page, you'll find more content and more inspirations if you're planning to travel to France. So, let's go right to it, right after this short break. Are you ready to speak French? Alors, let's study 10 expressions and questions using how together. One of the most common questions that I get is, how do you say how long? How long in French is combien de temps? Combien de temps? Combien de temps? Temps is spelled with PS at the end. You don't say temps. Combien de temps? Real speed, combien de temps? Combien de temps? How long? Then, how long? And often, most of the time I also get how often? Or how many times? The French don't make differences between how many times and how often. To say how many times or how often, you'll say combien de fois? Combien de fois? Combien de fois? Fois is spelled F-O-I-S. Please do not say fois. It just, it's combien de fois. You don't pronounce the consonants at the end of French words. I might have said that before, but I'd like to say it again. And the other one that I get too is, of course, how much is this? How much is this is very important to know. I actually had an episode this summer about, asking questions, but let's do it again. How much is this is combien ça coûte? Combien ça coûte? Combien ça coûte? Combien ça coûte? How much is this? Now, of course, maybe you want to ask, how come? Sometimes you're not sure what people say, or maybe maybe you speak a little French already, and you want to ask, how come? All right, to ask how come, comment. Okay, we're not saying combien anymore. We're saying comment. Comment ça se fait? Comment ça se fait? Comment ça se fait? That's real speed. Comment ça se fait? How come? It's spelled F-A-I-T at the end. Please go to the website so you can pronounce with the actual spelling. It's always nice to see the spelling. Comment ça se fait means how come. All right, maybe you want to ask someone, how was it? Right? How was it? How was it will be comment c'était. Comment c'était. Let's do it again together. Comment c'était. You notice that c'était is spelled C apostrophe E with an accent T-I-T-A-I-T. Again, please go to the website to see the exact spelling. We don't say c'était, and when you see the apostrophe, you don't stop. You don't say comment ce était. It's comment c'était. How was it? Comment c'était? All right, so maybe some of you will know the next one, and the next one is, how do you say? How are you saying? It's comment on dit. Comment on dit. Comment on dit, and then of course you can speak English, or if you speak Spanish, or if you speak another language that maybe your host or the person you talk to will understand. Comment on dit? How do you say, or how are you saying? Along with comment on dit, another recurring question is how to do this, how to make this. In this case, you'd say comment on fait. Comment on fait. How to do this, how to make this. Now, another question that is quite common is, how do you feel, or how are you feeling? When you ask someone, how do you feel, how are you feeling, remember that in French we have a casual French and a formal French. It means that the you will ever be tu if it's casual, or vous when it's formal. So let's see how you're going to pronounce it. Comment tu te sens? Comment tu te sens? How are you feeling? How do you feel? Comment tu te sens? Real speed. Comment tu te sens? See, I know it's hard, so you need to practice with different sounds. Comment tu te sens? If you need to be formal, it's comment vous vous sentez. You will repeat twice. Vous. Comment vous vous sentez? Comment vous vous sentez? Let's try together. Comment vous vous sentez? What is this vous that you hear? Why twice the word vous? It's because this is what we call a reflexive verb. It's how do you feel yourself? So you have one vous for yourself and the other way for vous as the subject. Right, I think the two last ones, they might be very familiar to you, but you never know. All right, so maybe you know how to ask, what's your name? And to ask someone, what's your name when you're casual? It's comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? And if you need to be formal, to ask what's your name, comment vous vous appelez? Comment vous vous appelez? You have to make that Z sound. Comment vous vous appelez? And let's do it real speed. Comment vous vous appelez? I know I did on purpose. I went a little fast. Comment vous vous appelez? Again, one tip that I want to give you is at the beginning, avoid speaking too fast. Why? Because it's okay to speak slow. People would understand you better, right? So just take your time and says, comment vous vous appelez? Again, go on the website and you can check the spelling. And then the last one is, I guess you know by now, is how are you? How are you? Comment vas-tu? Comment vas-tu? Comment vas-tu? You don't say vas, you say va. You don't pronounce the consonants at the end of French words. Comment vas-tu? And then the last one, comment allez-vous is how are you formal. Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous? All right, so now, right, you know how to use all these questions. And believe me, please practice, because to know how to say how long or how often is very convenient. Same, when you want to ask how was it, how do you say, how to do this. These are recurring questions that I get during my classes, and I really want to share with you because I want to help you have fun and to have a lot of joy when you speak French. So please take the time to memorize and to practice. All right, before this episode stops, let's practice the 3 sounds that you heard a lot in this episode, and these are the voyelles nasales. I've talked about them before, right? These are the 3 sounds in French. To make the sound on in con, right, you purse your lips together like a O, right? And then from O, lift the back of your tongue. To make the sound on, your lips are pursed together. To make the sound un, such as in bien, your lips are stretched like you're smiling. Yeah. We're going to go from un. Combien. And then the last sound that you heard was en in comment. To make the sound en, open your mouth wide, go for ah, and then just lift the back of your tongue. Ah, en. Your mouth is open. You should be able to hear the difference between en, un, and you should be able to voice them too. En, un. Voilà, c'est la fin de cet épisode. I'm so proud of you. Here you did. You made it to the end. Give yourself a big applause. If nobody has told you today, and I know I'm a little late because I actually had a big sore throat and I couldn't do the episode on Thursday because I could barely speak. So I hope you feel good because I was a little sick. So if no one has told you today, well, you are awesome, and stick around because the next episode will be a special Halloween edition, if hopefully I'm able to speak next week. Merci, au revoir, à bientôt.